Hello, beautiful people. Hopefully you're feeling well today. Clearly I dressed like as if I was waking up in New Orleans today, but I'm gonna pull through because I was not ready for the snow. I want to talk to you about the narrative around trans and queer folk in New Orleans and how the prison industrial complex relies on that narrative. I came out at 14 years old. Growing up trans in a city like New Orleans, which also has one of the highest murder rates and the highest incarceration rate, and I'm still alive. I grew up in a time when trans lives mattered less than they do now. A time where if you came up missing, it wouldn't make the news, and it seemed like no one would care but your mother. Mothers of trans girls that were missing would come to the French Quarter asking us questions like, did we know their child? Or who could they have left with? Mothers doing their own investigative work because they knew the NOPD did not care about their child. Most mothers left New Orleans with no body and no real story as to what really happened to their children. I was 16 when I met my first trans girl. And I was 16 when her mother came to me in the French Quarter asking me, what did I see, and if I knew their child at least. After experiencing what the mean streets of New Orleans had to offer, I wanted to go inside and never come outside again. When I made 17, my mother told me 2 women could not stay in the same house, and I basically took her advice and just moved on out and never looked back. Situations like the one I just mentioned with my mother and I causes our LGBTQ youth to run to the streets and anyone who will accept them. Once that happens, the prison system sees us as easy targets. Queer and trans people of color are directly targeted and impacted by the prison industrial complex because we're seen as easy targets by the police and we don't put up a fight. For years, I thought about how much police rode around areas, they so-called high crime and drug-related areas that just so happened to be wherever trans and queer folk congregated. I was labeled a sex worker by a cop before ever being convicted of a prostitution charge simply for wearing blonde hair. And you see how long I like it. Trans and queer folk are stalked like prey by the police, and the streets of New Orleans is their jungle. One misconception that the prison industrial complex relies on is that we're outcasted. No one cares about us. So who would care if they threw us in jail and got a commission for it? New Orleans formed undercovers to set out and criminalize trans people of color, labeling us as prostitutes so no one would care about us. The ride to jail, when I was caught, the ride to jail felt like a game we failed at, as they talked amongst us over their walkie-talkies about who they wanted next or how many trans bodies they just picked up. They'd drop us off by 5s while another car would pull up with 3 more girls. We would sit in jail for 3 months before even seeing a judge, serving time before being found guilty or not. When you've been in a place like OPP or jail period for 3 months, and someone tells you if you plead guilty, you get out for credit for time served, and you get to go home. That sounds like Christmas morning and you jump on it quick. And you don't even take the time to realize what your freedom is actually costing you at this time, because now you've just accepted a charge and you're labeled as a prostitute now. I never stated a price to my undercover that picked me up. I just needed to put something back in my hotel room and I liked the free ride. So I got in. That ride would label me as a prostitute for years. If he only knew I didn't want to sleep with him for money, for with or without money, honestly. I wish they had more organizations like BreakOUT, because at that time they did not have any. Once we would get put out of homes, we would just look for the streets and our friends to really basically raise us and accept us. I started to get mad about what was going on in the city of New Orleans, and I chose to start organizing. I worked with more organizations like BreakOUT, Women with a Vision. Women with a Vision is someone I love dearly because you can clap for Women of Division because they're very good, and they seek to end the criminalization of all sex workers. I also got serious about The People's Assembly Women's Committee, who were fighting for our Garden Plaza residents who were living on top of toxic waste. And like 5 out of those women, they have cancer at this point. And we want them to be relocated, and we also want them to, be given the amount of money that their houses is worth. Not what you feel like giving them, but what their houses is worth for. Some of those situations has led me to the organizations and the work that I do today. And I would like to thank all of you for basically listening to me right now. Thank you.